I'm Richard Humpidge. I'm the site manager at the glorious Troup Head. This is the only mainland gannet breeding colony in Scotland, and so if you want to see gannets without getting on a boat, this is your only place to come. Possibly as many as 40% of the adults have died last year, and 90% of the chicks that were here last year died as well. We were having hundreds, thousands of corpses, birds dying on the cliffs and falling into the sea and on the ledges below. It was pretty grim. This cliff here and the cliff round the corner is the main and densest part of the gannet breeding colony. That's where they're most tightly packed. The space is at a real premium, and there's 35% fewer birds on there this year than we had previous years. I mean, it looks busy and full now, but you know, there was literally a third as many birds again. Actually, what you're seeing is an absence of gannets, because the breeding colony you can see is the other side of the ridge and extending up to the actual ridge line. And usually what you'd see is a lot of clubbirds on all the brown bare earth patches is where the clubbirds hang out. And the clubbirds are like the teenagers, if you like, and the club is like their disco or nightclub, which is where the young birds, when they come back to the colony at about the ages of 2, 3 and 4, they don't start breeding until they're 5. So in the time in between, they hang about in these clubs on the edges of the colonies and try and find a mate. There's one bird actually in the club at the moment, looking very sorry, on the dance floor with nobody to dance with. So this time last year, this was chock-a-block full of clubbirds, so I wouldn't have been able to stand here at all. And if I was here, I'd have to be talking like this because the noise would be so loud. But this year I can stand here without disturbing anybody and just talk properly. It's quite spooky, really, in some ways, because you look at the cliffs and it's still a busy seabird city, but very quiet compared to what it was. Gannets are quite long-lived birds, so they breed over 20, 25 years. So if you lose all the chicks in 1 year, it doesn't really matter all that much to the population. But if you lose 30% of the adults, that is a much, much greater impact, even though it's a lower percentage, because that's 30% of the chicks from this year that are not going to be here next year for the next 2 decades. Birds that died last year would probably be here breeding. So that is going to have a significant impact. I'm an optimist. The gannets here were doing really well before. The growth rate on this colony was exponentially up. So last year was a bit of a blip and a bit of a downturn. But I'm quite confident that they'll come back and breed, and in a few years' time we'll be back to where we were last year.